Hello, welcome to another Tonalist landscape oil painting demonstration. This is your painter in residence, M. Francis McCarthy, and the painting I'm bringing you today is a 5x10. It's called Close to Dusk, and I painted this back in like September or so. Now on the screen you're going to see flashing a list of the colors that I have on my palette. If you're looking for more extensive information on that list, just do a search on my channel for the word palette, and there's a video that gives you a full rundown of every color that's just gone by in the list, especially some that might seem a little odd, like Mike's green. You could go I've had people send me emails like, "What's Mike's green?" It's like, well, watch the palette video on my channel, and you'll know what Mike's green is. And I'll just tell you now, because it's not a secret. Mike's green is a mix of Hansa yellow medium and black, which creates the most versatile and useful green for landscape painting, in my opinion. And actually, with greens, most of the tube greens are useless for landscape painting. Maybe sap green, but come on, I mean, you could make sap green so easily with just blue and some yellow. It's not even funny, possibly a touch of burnt sienna. Anyway, that color list, I bring that up now and again just because I know some of the people following my channel are people trying to paint, and they are very hungry for information about things like what colors you use, what brushes you use, things like that. I may as well say here that the brushes I use are usually decent quality. Like, I use a Signet Robert Simmons, and I used to use the Silver Grand Prix. Silver Grand Prix costs a lot more money. They're not any better than the Robert Simmons. These days I actually have quite a lot of success with the smaller brushes. I use the DOS. It's a very cheap little brush, but for brush sizes, say in the 2 to 1 to 0 range, I'll use those little DOS brushes. I also have some Robert Simmons, mostly in the 2s, but well, as I got into doing real miniatures last year, I found I had a much greater need for the small brushes like the 2s and stuff. In the past, like the brush you see me using right now is a 4, and I do the bulk of my work at this size with a 4. Once I move into sizes like 11 by 14 and up, I'll jump to a 6 and do especially things like skies and stuff with a 6. But what I have to say about brushes is that you want to use brushes that are high quality and they're springy. Don't buy super cheap brushes that will shed hairs in your painting. Especially if you're just starting out, it's important to have good quality brushes, because you're already going to be struggling, and having a really poor brush will just add to your struggle, and it might make things almost impossible. So that's what I have to say about brushes. And well, other than brushes and paint, you have your underlayment, you have your board you're working on. I have videos about my board prep, and I'll just say here, I'm not big on canvas, at least not at the sizes I work. And I guess maybe a little word about the sizes I work. I work fairly small, and I have a small studio. I have a small house, and I was an illustrator. I was used to working at a small size, so I'm comfortable there. I sometimes get pressure from the marketplace to do larger work, and at some point I hope to. I'm supposed to get a larger studio at some point at the art center I work at, and if I had a good stand-up easel and a bit more storage space, I certainly would take a crack at some larger things. But for what I do, I like doing small paintings and miniatures, and that's what I do very well, so I'm not too bothered. Even if, the thing is with the marketplace is sometimes they're going to tell you things that you need to hear, and other times they're going to tell you things that might apply to some other artist. But say if you're an artist that's not interested in doing large work, but you've got galleries or dealers saying, "Oh, we want larger things." Why are they saying that? Well, they've had people coming in. They have people these days. There's such as the art market is shrinking because the amount of people that are educated and knowledgeable about art and also wealthy is becoming smaller all the time. That's just a fact, I think, and maybe it's a negative way of thinking. I have sold plenty of paintings to people that aren't wealthy and that do love art, so I know there's still an art market out there. There always will be. However, well, I mean, you really can't worry about that, can you? You just do your paintings and you hope to sell some and have people put them in their homes. But there's a lot of other things pulling on people's attention. A lot of people are content to decorate their walls with just any old crap, I guess is the word I would use. And I've brought this up on the channel before, but you can go down to the, it's called the Warehouse here. It's equivalent to Walmart in the States. You can get yourself a nice $15 photo on a stretched canvas and pop that on the wall. And heck, or people can, undo. I mean, the place I just went to cut my hair today has basically grabbed a bunch of artwork off the internet and had it printed out. Don't do that to my work, because if I find out, I'll be very cross, and it's not nice. It's not respectful to the artist. But people do it, whatever. And I have to give it to these people. At least they're putting something up. Granted that they're not helping that artist that had to work many years to develop their skill and ability to even be able to develop an image that was worth putting up. But hey, that's a whole separate, that's a topic for another video. Yeah. Anyway, I talked a little bit about pigments, brushes. This painting I will talk about a little bit, based on a scene that's very similar to a scene that I did in a square format. You'll see, though, it's the same place in nature. About 2 videos ago. That one was keyed off of blues and morning colors. This one is keyed off of purples, and this is one of the reasons I define my work as tonal. I'm not overly concerned with capturing the effects of the natural colors. They're going to have an influence, they're going to have an impact on what I do, but for example, this painting, I had an idea that I wanted to do something that was keyed off purples and the complementary of yellow. So I set up from not when I was perceiving the scene in nature. That's a whole different mindset. That mindset is looking at the composition, and I think this is a very, very strong composition. Works really well in this format, and I thought the composition was strong when I grabbed the photos that I used to as reference for the paintings. So. But when I sat down and said, well, I'd like to do this with a panoramic approach, the first thing I did, of course, was found a good way to format it for the board sizes I've been working with, which 5x10 has been pretty common. And what that is, by the way, is a doubled up square. So you take 2 5x5s, you get a 5x10. I've done some paintings which I haven't shared yet that are 7x14, same idea, and so on and so forth. But it creates a panorama. It's a great proportion. I'm really big on it, and that's why you would have seen me use that same proportion in the last video. I'm really big on it. Actually, might lead us to what I'm doing in the studio now, which is past master studies, which many of you will be glad to hear, because those are some of the more popular videos on my channel, although not always, and that's gratifying, of course, since the past master, I'm basically making a study after another artist's painting. I mean, they've done the heavy lifting. They've come up with the composition, they've come up with a color scheme and a proportion, although I will change those proportions a bit, but always with the spirit and intention of getting what was awesome about that piece across. But I actually really make it try to make it clear to people that when I do these studies, hold on, I'm losing my place in this video. Okay, I just want to have a sense of how much time I have here. When I do these studies, the whole idea is not to make a faithful copy of the work of the master. The idea is to sort of get what was awesome and excellent about that painting into my brain, into what I do. And it's been a great system, it's been a great setup. And I'm not a guy that went to art school, I'm self-taught, and this is one of the ways that I improve my painting, actually pretty dramatically, I have to say, since I started doing the master studies. My painting has really gone much better. Prior to that, I was definitely influenced by these great painters of the past, but there's a level of abstraction there from I want to do this, I have the same goals, to like, well, I like what they did here, let me just see how I do it, you know. And that's really valuable. Anyway, you're going to have a bunch of those coming your way. At least, well, I've probably done at least 10 or so, and I might still be in that mode. I mean, it's, I actually have sold a few paintings recently too. That, one of them was a master, actually, a copy of a Corot Nocturne, and nice little painting. I sold it right off the easel, so I'll do that. Anyway, I can see we're getting pretty close to the end. Thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate all the really nice comments and support I've got since returning to YouTube, and you know, I've gotten a lot of great information off of people on the internet. This is one of my ways of giving back, and if you ever really have any questions, you can pop them in the comments, or you can shoot me an email. You can get my email real easily if you just go to my website, and it's there at the bottom, or you can just use the contact form there, and if you have a query or just want to say hi, or you want to send me $1 million, make sure you're not from Nigeria. Anyway, like I said, you can easily do that. I will respond. I like to help people out, and so there you go. I'll be back. Well, this is a midweek video. Yay! So I'll be back over the weekend with another one, and I've got some other really nice paintings in the pipeline that I'm going to be happy to share with you. Hopefully you got a bit off of looking at this one, and we'll look forward to doing the next one together. Meanwhile, please take good care and stay out of trouble.
The emblem of fire.